Boy, is this just the antithesis of the boys. All right. Hi, guys. So we have been joined by the, I guess, very much branding Nintendo reviewer today.
I am. My background is where I would rather be.
Well, that's fair. So is mine. I'd rather be sleeping. Instead, we're talking about We Can Be Heroes, which is the newest Robert Rodriguez film, who just has the most fascinating filmography.
Yeah.
If you ever delve into it, it is like the most insane action movies mixed with the weirdest kids films.
See, I'm like a big Robert Rodriguez fan because going back to high school when I realized I wanted to be in film, he was
Really,
like one of my idols because he was one of those, do it yourself to get into Hollywood types. And I really look up to those types because, that's what I'm doing.
I could see that. Yeah,
So like I kind of look at his movies from that context where I'm still like, oh, you make such really good stuff still. And then I see some of your other stuff and I was like, what?
it's like, oh yeah, Machete and what's oh crap, Sin
My
City or
Yeah, Sin City, Machete, Desperado.
Desperado. Yep, Dusk Till Dawn. That's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah, Dust Till Dawn.
From Dusk Till Dawn, and all those ones, and then you look, it's like, yeah, and then the Spy Kids movies, and
Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
yeah, which brings us back to this movie because I guess he decided that it needs a kind of sort of sequel. Um, which is, did you ever see Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
I avoided it like the plague
Okay,
because everybody I talked to said that it was a bit literal garbage. And then I've actually found some clips of it because I was like, you know what? Let me just make sure I'm not going based on hearsay. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't spend money to watch this.
it was a movie because I like this is before I really got into movies. I remember watching it on TV at home, not because I thought it was good, because I was just fascinated by how bad it was. Again, this is around the time like they're trying to bring 3D back, but what the technology wasn't really there yet. So it's
Yeah.
this really blocky like 3D like CGI effects, and it looked really bad. And it was just a bizarre piece of filmmaking that was led by Jacob from Twilight.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know why he decided to bring it back, but for some reason he did. And this new variation, and this is where I have to like take my adult cynicism out of this, and this is something I have learned as I've gotten older. And I've gotten away from that edge lord, this like only serious films are allowed here, cuz kind of vibe that a lot of douchebag film critics take, and recognize first and foremost, this movie is not for me. I
Yeah.
am not the target audience of this in any way, shape, or form.
I
I
had to
need,
keep that in mind too.
so you have to take that in that context and frame it in the way of if the audience for this movie were to watch this, which is like 4 to 5 year olds, like this is meant for little kids. Does it get across what it wants to get across, and does it do it in a way that the kids are going to find entertaining? So in
Right.
that context, I would say this movie succeeds in both parts, and it's perfectly fine.
See, I ended up watching this at my girlfriend's house because she put it on right as I came out of the bathroom. I was like, "Why are you watching this?" So like, I have a burning curiosity. Can we watch this? I was like, "Okay, fine." Just because we're both curious and we're bored. It's pandemic time.
Yeah.
And, and throughout the whole movie, we were both like kind of laughing and cringing at the same time, and kind of going like, you know what? If we weren't young adults with film degrees, we probably would find this a lot more entertaining.
Yeah. And I think that's where you have to take your own jadedness out of it, right?
Yeah.
Because again, like it's kind of like criticizing Teletubbies because it's not like Streetcar Named Desire, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not even saying like it's that terrible or that's pandering or anything like that, but it's more like you have to look at it through a different lens.
Yeah,
Um,
that's exactly it.
uh,
I really had to look at this through not as the age that I really am, but if I were watching this as a 7-year-old, would I find this entertaining? Probably I would. I
oh, really?
wouldn't.
How old is that, Joseph? Just for the audience.
I'm 30, damn it.
I got it. I will say this: Pedro Pascal has had a hell of a year.
Yeah, he has. And that was something that I was thinking of because Pedro Pascal, he is a good actor. He's done quite a lot, although surprisingly, I never heard of him up until Mandalorian.
Oh
Like I
yeah,
didn't
that's
realize
been
he
in
was
business
in
a
an
long
episode of
time.
Buffy. Yeah.
Uh,
So I could tell that he is a really good actor. So when I was watching him act in this, I was like, he knows what kind of movie he's in, and he's just hamming it up because he's just decided to have fun with it. I got that sense from his
yeah,
performance.
like in every one of the almost all of the Robert Rodriguez like kids movies, there's always one performance that just kind of like this is better than has any right to be.
Yeah.
For like Spy Kids 1, I think it was Antonio Banderas
Yes.
and Alan Cummings was in that movie, which
Oh yeah, because like I didn't realize that. Well, I didn't know who he was as a kid because I wasn't allowed to see Goldeneye because I was considered too young for it. But after I rewatched it, I think last year, and I was like, wow, I found this like that entertaining when I was, what was it, like 99, 2000 when this came out?
and the first Spy Kids isn't like a bad film. It legitimately is actually still kind of holds up.
No, it kind of does. But then
And
I was
like
like, oh yeah, that is Owen Cummings.
and a part of it is just the way Alan Cummings plays the part is just really kind of like the bizarro Willy Wonka, and it's kind of freaky. Uh,
Yeah, where
it-
like he
right,
was hamming it up because he was having fun with it, and like Antonio Banderas was kind of doing the same thing, and so I feel like Pedro Pascal was doing that with this movie.
yeah, and and then you look at Spy Kids 2, and this is something that was circulating around Twitter for a little while. I was like, oh my god, I forgot that line was in that movie, because the Spy Kids 2 has Steve Buscemi. Um,
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
yeah, he plays the scientist that makes all the monsters, and he has a line in there where he just goes, "Do you think God hides in heaven because he's afraid of the creations he made?" You're just like,
Yeah, I
Jesus.
don't remember that line at all. I must not have watched it since it originally came out.
Um, so like that was like Jesus. Okay, it's not expecting that from Spy Kids 2. Spy Kids 3, not so much, but you know,
Yeah.
until that point, for I was like, okay, there was actually something to this, and I think that you could say that about this movie too. As much as it tries to market the inclusion of like Shark Boy and Lava Girl from from the first movie, they're like barely in this, and I think the guy who plays Shark Boy maybe has like 3 lines.
He doesn't. I don't remember him saying anything because they made it so pretty obvious that it wasn't Taylor Lautner.
Was it not? I didn't honestly didn't couldn't tell, but
I think they tried to hide it because like he never took off his mask, and I don't remember him actually saying a damn word.
oh yeah, because you know they could the kids who recognize who watched the first movie can totally recognize adult Taylor Lautner.
Yeah, I think that was just the adult in me going like, "Oh, I know that's not him, but I'm sure the kids won't notice."
I think it was though. I feel like they heard him. They come back to play the part.
Did they?
I'm gonna look it up now because it's gonna bug me. This is where
Like
we have the awkward pause while I furiously Google this.
try to settle like, was it really him? Because it seemed like they were trying to hide that it wasn't.
It's more like if it was him, it was definitely him trying to cash a cheap paycheck. Which, to be fair, if you pay me millions of dollars to just wear a slightly uncomfortable suit and say nothing for the entire film, I would take that check.
I mean, considering Vin Diesel took a pretty big check just for going "I am Groot" over and over again.
Yeah, in multiple languages.
Yeah.
um. Oh no! Apparently, it's played by Jeffrey J. Dashnaw.
Should I know who that is?
You should. He was in Sin City.
Wait, who was he in Sin City?
He was like he was the one that he did stunts in the first Sin City.
Okay.
So he was a stunt man who they got to put in a suit because they sized him up correctly. That's why.
That makes sense.
But anywho, where was I going with? Oh yeah, I think there is something to this because this movie does hammer home a moral that is I have personally heavily advocated for. It is something that I have been watching the superhero genre slowly transition to over the years. So to kind of make that in the foreground and obviously make that for like a 5 to 6-year-old audience, in a way that for the most part is entertaining for that age group, is something I do have a lot of respect for this movie for.
Yeah, I think I know what you're referring to, like the kind of point that they bring home towards the climax, right?
I mean, it's not very hidden. They make it pretty explicit. Basically,
Well,
like,
yeah,
hey,
as a kids movie.
it's basically so like, hey, eventually the old fucks are gonna be out of here. And when the
Yeah,
old fucks are gone, you're gonna have to do the heavy lifting. So we're gonna teach you how to do the heavy lifting now, so you're ready for it.
yeah. So, I think when they brought up that point, I was kind of like, oh, that's actually pretty valid, especially for the times that we're living in. Because I feel like everything that we went through this past year was kind of very much
Mm,
yeah, really hitting that. Not to get too much into that, but I feel like that was a good way of saying like, hey, eventually, the old generation isn't going to be around forever to do everything, so the new generation has to be able to step up, and like there has to both have to be willing to pass the torch.
exactly, yeah, and I think that's an important lesson, and I think that's something I've again since I study this shit now. That's something I've been kind of watch start to grow within the superhero genre, and what more I've personally advocated for, as you are starting to see more characters kind of take up old mantles from older characters. Like Miss Marvel's the big one right now.
Yeah,
Or Miles Morales Spider Man is another one. There's a new Superman, um, played by
I didn't know
Superman's.
about that. But,
Was that
oh, I didn't know about that.
Superman has a son now?
I remember that being a plot point in the comics. I didn't know they were bringing it to the films.
They aren't bringing to the films yet. My point is, like, these are things that are, like in the comic books now because they're trying to plant the seed so they can make movies out of it.
Okay.
That's Miss Marvel, for example, is getting a TV show.
Yeah,
Um,
I heard about that.
that's coming out pretty soon. So my point is, like, this is the direction this genre has been going for a while, and it's kind of nice to see that become more dominant in the mainstream. That's the point I'm trying to get at here. Um, and I think it's an important one, not just for like superheroes, but just in life in general. I think it's something we don't hammer home enough
Mhm.
because there's a lot of pandering and a lot of talking down to previous generations,
Yeah.
just so the older generations can feel stronger for a little while. And I
Hmm.
feel like it's a cynical mindset that needs to come to an end.
Yeah.
So I applaud me for taking the initiative and like actually saying it out loud.
Yeah, so I think that really is a kind of a, I guess, a family-friendly way you could say of bringing home the point of, hey, the older people eventually you're going to be retiring, and your future generations are going to be, having to know what to do to take care of everything. You can't be running the world when you're 90, so like you need to be able to hand
Our
things down. Yeah.
No, I think, and the other thing I like from that too is that on the adult side of things, the moral is very much this is a good thing. This is
Yeah.
what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, don't be scared of it.
Don't be scared of it. Like this is natural.
Yeah.
And I feel like again, that's a narrative that we need to embrace more as a culture, which is about it's not as deep a conversation I was expecting to have with this review. But I think it's that is something we need to embrace more as a culture, as the older generation needs to be a guide for the younger generation versus what we have been doing, which is saying, "Oh, you just don't know enough. We're gonna take it from here."
Yeah.
Until they get old and die and complain and then yell at the sun because they don't know how Twitter works. Uh, which I don't know, we've seen that happen recently. But what is Section 230? That's the only political joke I'm gonna make this review.
Yeah.
That's a lie. I already made a Mitch McConnell reference. Anyway,
Yeah.
but
But
yes, like I really like it for doing that. I thought like as an over the top kind of reference to superhero genre as a whole, I just find it funny how just wildly different it is just from the other quote unquote smarter superhero products out there right now. The Boys comes to mind, which is what I was reminded of because there's even the same blonde hair, blue eyes like Superman stand-in in this one too. Except the difference in this one, he's not a fascist.
yeah, I haven't seen The Boys, so there's some references I'm maybe not getting.
I watched 2 episodes. I fucking hated it, and I stopped watching.
I saw you tweet about it, and I was like, "Uh-oh."
I that was how to phrase. Okay, here's the best way to describe the difference between we can be heroes and the Boys. We can be heroes says like, hey, we recognize this genre has a lot of appeal for younger generations. We don't know a lot about it, but we're going to do our best. We're going to try to make it appeal to them. We're going to say that we're going to use that as a as a vessel to deliver a positive message, so kids have something to look forward to when they get older. The Boys is that angsty teenager behind high school smoking a cigarette. That's going on. Oh, you like them boys in the tights, do you? Well, you're stupid for liking that thing, and you're fucking wrong. That's the Boys.
Okay. Okay. I think I get where you're going with that.
And then you feel like, well, actually, if you really look at the subtext, now it's like, no, you're just fucking stupid. What are you, 2 years old? Grow the fuck up.
So
That's
it's like very condescending.
It's very condescending. It's very smug. It's written by a guy who has openly, actively hated the genre. The books, not necessarily a TV show. And they're awful books, and for some reason the show gets critically praised. I don't understand why. But if you like it, fine. Don't yell at me in the comments, please.
Somebody will.
But fuck that show. And everyone always goes like, it gets better. It's like, if you hate something by 2 episodes in, unless you're supposed to hate them, I don't know how you go up from there.
Yeah, that's pretty much the logic of the TV industry too. With this movie, I it's kind of a shame when you think about it that it is just straight to Netflix, because I feel like with its message, it would have been better if it's released to theaters, because then, the kids have to go with their parents because the parents have to drive them, and then the parents, they'll be like, oh god, this is so cheesy, up until that message later on where it can really reach out to the older generation of the parents, and the kids would be like, so they'll maybe have that mutual moment, because I don't know that necessarily all the parents would be watching Netflix with their kids, especially now.
True. I can see what you're saying there. I don't even know, I don't know how much effect it would have either way, to be honest. I also feel like the chances are better if it's at home, because then they don't have to spend $20 to go see it. They'll pay like, okay, it's on Netflix. Here, go watch this and play, that kind of thing. And they might kind of just pick it up while they're there. Even then, like, being the cynical adults that a lot of people are, like, I don't know how much it would click with them. You hope it does, like anything like it, but there's just no guarantee. And even then, there's a lot of talking down to. We have. This is where I sound like old man yelling at cloud. We have a very cynical series of generations in the moment between boomers and millennials.
Oh yeah, we do.
I'm throwing myself into that category. I like to think of myself as a recovering cynic, because I fucking hate it now. But I fully acknowledge I used to fall into that same mindset and do the same kind of smug bullshit, and it's all bullshit.
Nah, I was too. For a while, I was kind of like that cynical millennial, but I guess I'm kind of recovering too.
But like cynicism is just it's a lazy. It's lazy philosophy. You assume everything's terrible, and you never assume things get better, which means you never get disappointed by it. Yeah. It's a whole thing, and it's a fucking awful way to live. And I appreciate more and more any kind of medium that kind of turns its back on that. And that's again what I respect about this movie too. Even though I make it perfectly clear, like I laughed at parts I was not supposed to laugh at a few times in this.
Yeah, I think I did too.
There was kind of like, oh lordy,
when it wasn't going like, wow, that's CGI.
I mean, like there was a lot of like, wait, why did that happen? Wait, how does that make sense? Like, wait, now since when? But like, my brain is like, dude, shut up.
Yeah, I kept having that inner battle with myself too, where I was like, what, and then I'd be like, no, this is a kid's movie. This is not made for you. Look at it as a kid's movie.
I know, like this is something I was having to talk to a friend of mine lately. It's kind of like, well, criticizing like something for not being more adult is kind of like criticizing A Bug's Life for not like discussing the socioeconomic policies of the upper class.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like a kid's movie. By its primary goal is to try to make complex life lessons simple enough for kids to understand. And this is no Pixar by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh no.
But it does still accomplish that goal.
Yeah, story-wise, it does exactly what it set out to do, which is what you said. Try to make something complex easy for a child to digest.
And it does so in a way that is entertaining. Like the kid actors do their job as best they can. Some are better than others, but overall, like on the whole, the kids are pretty all right. You
can tell that they're all legitimately trying. I got that sense. They are like really putting in an effort.
Yeah, like they all definitely put in some effort. I thought the grandmother character was a lot of fun. I liked her.
Yeah.
I thought the adult characters would find the stories pretty straightforward, but that it kind of needs to be. And it's that if I look, there's a lot of bright colors. The CGI is pretty hit and miss, but it's not like I'm expecting Shakespeare.
Yeah.
This isn't Avatar. I'm not expecting anything great. Uh, there's a lot of adult jokes I was thinking to make every time a tentacle showed up, but I had to repress that urge down too.
Yeah. try to fight back that side of your brain that's accidentally stumbled upon the dark side of the internet.
Yeah, again, it goes with that adult cynicism where you're trying to make a smug joke because you want to act like you're smarter than the movie, and this is definitely a case where you have to suppress that urge hard, in order to get the intended purpose out of it. So like, if I'm looking at it critically, it's hard to kind of judge it in that lens because I also have to take into the account the target audience. I would say, of course, there are better kids movies out there by a country mile.
Yeah, there are.
But I get at the same time, I don't want to shit on it because I like what it's trying to do, if that makes sense.
That does make sense because, there's a lot to kind of criticize about it. Like its overuse of CGI and a lot of the acting is cheesy, but at the same time, some actors I can tell are being cheesy on purpose. And
sure.
And it does have a good message in it, which I honestly was not expecting. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, I actually kind of appreciate that it tries to say something meaningful.
And I will give it this. The spoiler. The little girl that turns out to be main villain at the end will probably actually be a really good villain character actor later on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she probably has a good future of playing villains.
Yeah, it's like she had that cold stare down. I'm like, are you 4?
Yeah. You're a frightening 5-year-old.
No, that would go to the character Guppy, I think. Legitimately kind of terrifying. Who is the little girl, the daughter of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, I guess. And I don't know where they found this kid. But it turns out if you give a 4-year-old just shark sound effects, you can kind of make her creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
And it's given the most screen time out of most of the kids outside of the main character, who is Pedro Pascal's daughter, who again is a pretty solid leading little child actor. So again, credits too. There's no Stranger Kids group, but they serve their purpose. Like I said, I could, if I wanted to be an asshole, I can nitpick this to death and say everything is wrong with it. But this is one of those rare cases. I'd rather just elevate what makes it good and say that if you have kids in a young demographic, I would put this on and legitimately try to watch it with your kids. I think it's a good message.
No, I agree. It's something that you would want to put on for the kids. That if it was aimed at adults, then I think we would both be a lot more harsh towards it. But knowing that it's obviously made for kids and that it's trying to do something pretty good, then I would rather focus on the positives that it does have, and definitely ignoring the negativity of the effects. Its story does do something pretty good.
Yeah, and I think if this is made by Disney or Pixar, I'd probably have a much harsher critical eye towards it. But I feel like this is made with the same intention that Robert Rodriguez made with the first Shark Boy and Lava Girl, which is this is something my kids liked. Because Shark Boy and Lava Girl was his kid's idea. That he decided I'll make a movie out of it, sure. And this feels kind of if when my kids were younger, this feels like something I would want to teach them. That's kind of what it feels like to me. So if you look at it from that lens, I think you'll get something out of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think Robert Rodriguez, I'm not going to pretend that everything he makes is a masterpiece.
Oh no.
Yeah, but
I've seen Spy Kids 4.
You poor man.
Well, I watched half of Spy Kids. That's enough. I don't need to review this.
Yeah, but when he is trying to do something meaningful, he does a good job of it.
Yeah, he definitely goes all in on whatever genre movie he's making. I'll give full credit. And this one definitely feels like I would say Nickelodeon TV movie kind of quality, mostly in the writing. Because they're called the superhero team are called the Heroics or something. And the names are all really, really bad.
Yeah.
But then again, another thing I'm thinking of. Ever seen that Mark Hamill interview? I think he did on the Tonight Show. He's
Was this recent?
No, this is a while ago, I think. But he's he's talking about like when he did the trash compactor scene in the first Star Wars movie, and he comes out and we're filming the scene out afterwards, and my hair is all clean. It's like, oh wait, I was just in a trash compactor, so my hair all mussy and dirty. And then Harrison Ford looks at me, and goes, "Kid, it's not that kind of movie. If they're looking at your hair, we're all in big trouble."
I mean,
And that's kind of how I feel towards this movie. It's like I can make fun of the bad names, I can make fun of the cheesy acting or the writing or the CGI, but again, at the end of the day, it's not that kind of movie. So,
yeah, you could tell because I've seen what Robert Rodriguez does when he's trying to do something serious and it's like legitimately good. He's not trying to go for some big Oscar bait thing. He's trying to do something that's going to send a positive message to kids and entertain kids the whole time. And I feel like it succeeds in what it's trying to do.
yeah. Like again, I wouldn't even criticize as hard as I did with Alita: Battle Angel, which is a movie that was trying to be much harder for adults. So that's much more up for scrutiny. Um, I was one of the few people that did not fall in love with Battle Angel. But I'm quick to look at his filmography. He's like, what else has he done? A lot.
Yeah, it was definitely not the kind of movie that he made that got him noticed by Hollywood.
I did
By
check out
a
The
mile.
Mandalorian though.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised to see his name as director for one Mandalorian episode. I was like, oh,
And apparently he's making a movie called Machete Kills in Space.
yeah.
I
He
will
like
watch that.
he teased that like years ago.
I guess he finally got the green light. But anywho, I can't really think of anything else to say. I feel like I'm just repeating myself at this point. Do you got anything else you want to add?
Uh, no, I think we've pretty much covered all the main things. That the adult actors, at least most of them, like Priyanka Chopra and Pedro Pascal, they were being cheesy on purpose. The kids did a pretty good job, and the movie knew what it was trying to be, and it wasn't trying to be anything beyond that. And I think that where it worked in its favor.
I said if I did have one legitimate criticism of this movie, like on its own merit, is how fucking useless slow mo was.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like that felt like Aquaman in space in terms of usefulness.
Oh no, poor Aquaman.
Yeah, I know. Aaron shits on Aquaman, but he's played by
Yeah.
Jason Momoa, so he can still like bend you in half either way.
Yeah.
Um, that was one thing that bothered me. Like legitimately bothered me is a part where like this character called kid called Slow Mo, and his whole thing is he's like the son of the speedster in their team, but he's like really really slow instead. And there's a fight scene that happens where like one of the adult villains like laughing at him, slowly comes up there, and he somehow still hits him.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck were you doing that entire time? You had
Maybe
you had
talk
so much
about
time to
telegraphing.
play. That's like the one nitpicky complaint I will make. But
Yeah.
either way, this is the direction I'm hoping this genre starts to go in. And it's something and from what I have seen, what I have heard, I think it is. Because I don't know if you guys been hearing rumblings in the MCU like I have, but they've been teasing the Young Avengers pretty hard.
Oh yeah.
And I think they just cast the Patriot in Winter Soldier.
Oh, did they?
Do you know who that is?
Wait. I don't. I think I may have missed that.
Okay. The Patriot in the comics is like the grandson of a World War II veteran who got caught up in like a knockoff super soldier program.
Okay.
So now he's like a young black Captain America, basically.
Okay.
And of course they have Casey Lang, who also becomes her own thing later on. They've aged her up successfully, so that'll probably be a thing.
Yeah, and if they are going to do something with Miss Marvel, and I mean they already did something with Miles Morales for Spider-Verse, and
Sure, that
did
doesn't really
really
count
well.
for MCU.
Yeah.
Although technically Miss Marvel and Miles Morales aren't part of the Young Avengers. They're part of the Champions. That's a whole other thing. But anyway, they are doing. Oh, they God damn it. Oh, Hawkeye. They hired the girl from Bumblebee to play the
Oh,
younger Hawkeye.
oh,
Um, like Haley Steinfeld, I think her name is.
I think so.
Great actress, but so yeah,
It seems like they're setting up to do more of that, like passing the torch in superhero films, or that
yes,
they're getting to that point.
yes. Thank you for bringing me back to what I was trying to say originally. Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, so like that's where I'm seeing it going. I'm hoping it continues that trend because I think it's definitely important to have that there of hey, eventually things move on and you have to try something different.
yeah,
And I think it's important that we teach that. I also Ironheart is something I think they also announced recently, which was kind of like the basically black teenage woman Iron Man, pretty much, which would be interesting to see. So I'm glad I'm seeing those kind of passing the torch stories come up, and I think it's gonna be important for the next generation comes around. And like I hope it emphasizes the fact that change is natural, normal, and okay.
yeah. Because there's definitely a lot of areas, not to delve into a particular topic, but there's definitely a lot of areas where it's important for people of all those generations to say like, "Hey,
Yep.
this is a good thing."
Yep. It's because yeah, I've had arguments with relatives about this. You know how fun that is. So yeah, it's good for what it does.
Yeah,
Um,
it
and
does what it sets out to do.
yep. So I think that's all we have for this. I'm not gonna bother listening off what we have left to watch because there's so much. But we'll get to when we can. So
2021 just got started.
uh, it's that's usually like the Christmas rush is always the worst.
Yeah.
The holidays is fucking everything. So anyway, thanks for joining, man, and
You're
we'll talk to the
welcome.
rest of you later.